Hello and welcome to another daily casted match of Age of Empires 4. I am Paragon RG, and in this match, we have two excellent players. Beasty, QT, in the red, playing as the English on the southeast side of the map, and on the northwest side of the map, we have Give You Anxiety in the blue, playing as the French, appropriately color-coded. This same match switched is actually pretty annoying for me to keep straight, but should be pretty easy in this case. So, I think neither of these civs have had explicit changes in the most recent patch. There wasn't anything in particular that needed, I think, fixing or nerfing from the English or the French. They're both solid civs. The one big change here, I think, is that Horsemen have been buffed. So they now have +2 armor. So, previously Horsemen were buffed to have +1 armor. Of course, their hit points were reduced at the same time. Now they've been buffed so that tier 2 onwards, they have 2 armor. That should make a pretty big difference against archers. And so I think it will be interesting to see if Give You Anxiety ends up making any horsemen. I think he probably is thinking about trying that out. Obviously, Royal Knights would be the go-to in the feudal age as France, but, definitely worth experimenting while the patch is new and fresh. 2 scouts from Beasties, so must have sacrificed producing 1 villager. Meanwhile, just the 1 scout for Give You Anxiety. So a little bit of an economic lead for him. Never mind the fact that France already produces villagers a little bit faster. So he's probably actually, he's about 2 villagers ahead right now of Beastie. So I have to admit, that's actually pretty nasty. Maybe it's a little less than 2, more like 1.5. Yeah, more like 1.5 villagers ahead. That is not a small lead right off the top, right? So it's a pretty big choice to go about doing something like that. Now, Give You Anxiety can now click up. How did he do this so quickly? Or, yeah, I mean, sorry, maybe I'm just getting mixed up here. That's the difference right there, is Beastie's that little bit slower to clicking up to the next age because he actually has about 1.5 villagers fewer. School of Cavalry for Give You Anxiety. No real surprise there. The question is, will he be trying out the Horsemen? And Council Hall for Beastie. So also no real surprise on that front. We'll probably produce at least a bunch of Longbows. We'll pressure with them. We'll see what he can get done. Longbows are still pretty mean. Even Knights have to worry about them when the Knights are in small enough numbers and when the player is good enough to kite effectively. Keep in mind as well that Longbows can also heal once they get the campfire tech. So that's no joke, right? That's similar to the French Knight chivalry ability. Just a little less general, less broadly applicable. You have to actually activate the campfire to pull it off. Mill coming down from Give You Anxiety, taking advantage of the deer. Very close to his town center. Only 2 villagers on gold in the back of his base. What does he choose to do? Nothing just yet. Is he just short on food? I'm assuming he's just short on food. And he has enough gold for a knight. Either that or he's trying to save up for professional scouts. Just making sure player selection wasn't affecting that. Yeah, nothing at all here from... So first night now coming out, about 4.5 minutes from Give You Anxiety. That'll pop out closer to 5 minutes. BC only now getting up with the Council Hall. Go out of barracks right away. See how many longbowmen he pumps out here and see how active he is on it. Not really that active. I mean, he's already probably back about 1 longbow just from idle time. So Maybe his economy. Looks like his economy is just stretched to the limit. So obviously nothing wrong with that. You do what you can. Can't spend what you don't have. Okay, so that knight... Oh, that's the scout. Here's the knight. So knight from Give You Anxiety, headed forward. See what this thing is able to accomplish. Hanging out in the stealth forest. Scout for Give You Anxiety looking around. Don't know for sure if it spotted the troops of Beasty, but it very well may have. Pardon me, sorry about that. It very well may have, considering that he ran away with the knight immediately. Beasty definitely sees that knight with his scout, headed forward with all those longbows, and a villager. Is he going to... Yeah, I guess he's going to put a tower up front for the faster fire rate. That makes sense. We do see that kind of play. Look at this hunk of meat. The villager is carrying a rack of ribs over her shoulder. What a boss. Okay, now building that outpost. Pretty cool position if you think about it. This will provide a really nice range, not area of effect, but area in which the longbows get a bonus. And with arrow slits can potentially range the villagers behind the forest, of course, if it can see them. Battle being met. Just briefly, small skirmish. No troops going down. Both of them just testing each other's mettle. Give You Anxiety probably now sees that outpost and has to figure out what to do about it. Nice scout. Look at that spot. What a champ. Right up on the mountain. Beastie keeping an eye on the gold. You'll see if anything funky happens. Oh, longbows. Getting shots off now on the villagers. Doesn't quite... Yeah, needs quite a few more to one hit them. Looks like it was more of a 3 hit, but does take one down. So everything helps. Economy now 25 for Beastie and 28 for Give You Anxiety. Remember that French villager build time is just shorter, so they can get a lot more done. Longbows may try to pick off another villager. I doubt they will succeed in doing so. He has at least driven his opponent off of gold. But what does that mean? It looks like horsemen maybe being added instead of the knights. Horsemen are definitely an awful lot better against ranged units now that they get an extra armor in the feudal age. Ooh, look at this. Wall delete. Busts out. Kills that villager so quickly. Give You Anxiety means business. And when he chooses to go out, he goes out quickly. But forced back for the time being. Beastie's just going to go back to his own tower. Likes to hang around near the bonus. The network of castles given by his tower, his outpost there. Torching down the wall. Just wants a way in so we can bug any villagers here and give You Anxiety, a little bit of anxiety himself. Looks like more horsemen being produced. So we are definitely seeing the effect of those horsemen. No gold coming in whatsoever for Give You Anxiety. And similarly, I don't think... It looks like 3 villagers on gold for Beastie, but very little emphasis on that himself. Has he gone? He has blacksmith. No siege engineering just yet. And you know what? No upgrades whatsoever from that blacksmith. Beastie may have to rectify that if he wants to be able to compete with all of these cavalry. Spearmen come up just in time, but they're going to be murdered by these archers. I think this is a really bad spot for Beastie. What's happened with the network of castles here? Okay, it's back on now. Oh, maybe the opponent was just a little too far away. I forget sometimes that it's related to the proximity of the opponent, not the proximity of your own units. So will Beasties hold this off here? Longbowmen much worse against the cavalry now. Trying to go with the what do they call it? The stakes? Defensive stakes? Palings? That's what it's called. But this group of longbowmen being cleared up pretty well is going to have to hop into the tower to save any of them, and only makes it with 3 alive. So really solid cleanup from Give You Anxiety, and he will keep doing it. This horseman is going to absolutely kill this Longbowman will take very, very little damage. No ranged upgrades yet. Oh, sorry, ranged armor upgrades for those horsemen. A single ranged upgrade would really... It would drop the damage done by these Longbowmen quite a bit. But obviously Give You Anxiety is confident in his approach. What did he just upgraded to? It's the worst timing. Beastie upgrades to, I think, arrow slits just before the tower goes down. Probably lost that those resources. Had his longbows killed immediately after. Not ideal for Beastie. But Give You Anxiety, definitely in a commanding position here. What is Beastie going to do to come back from this? 39 population against 54. Not looking good. Give You Anxiety with 5 extra villagers, 9 extra military. And remember, I was going to say some of those military are knights. There's one knight that I see. Lots of horsemen going to give the English longbow player a hard time. So with the not nerf, the buff to horsemen, this does seem to make this matchup favor the French player more closely. The spears were buffed in the last patch, which you might expect would favor the English player a little bit, just because the French player is more likely to be going into knights in the first place. English can do it, but their knights aren't quite as good. Looks like Give You Anxiety really wants this scout dead, and will chase it down with everything he has. Don't know so much about that decision. Maybe send a horseman or 2 to deal with it. So what is Beastie's plan here? He's farming. English farming is pretty solid. No issues there. Often when you see players farming, it's a bad sign, right? Because they're farming because they have to, not because they want to. And farms cost quite a bit of upfront wood. 75 for most civs, 37 only for the English player. And then they also just get a general bonus. So farm harvest rate is plus 20% in the feudal age here. So not necessarily a bad sign to see the English player go for that early. It is an investment. More longbows being made for Beastie. I have a feeling Beastie is not too sure what to do here. He does have both ranged upgrades now. I think that was a little bit late. I think he needed those earlier. Is getting the melee attack upgrade. Melee attack. I mean, I guess for the spears, you might expect melee defense because so much of his opponent's force is horsemen. Beastie headed back out to the center of the map now. Thinks he has enough. Take a quick look at populations. He has caught up pretty well for military. But his military has a lower value. It's something worth keeping in mind. Longbows do not cost as... Longbows or spears do not cost as much as even horsemen. The longbows are a little more expensive, I believe, than regular old archers. Some villagers coming forward as well, so... is definitely keen on setting up another outpost. This wall has been fixed for Give You Anxiety. Let's head over to Give You Anxiety's view here. He can't see the outpost going up just yet. He has a pretty sizable army to the north. He's maneuvering that currently, hoping he can get a good angle on his opponent. Look at the inclusion of the scout. Look how much more he can see because of that. This is something that a lot of lower level players do not remember to do. Having a single scout makes your army so much more capable. Network of castles kicks in here. Spearman trying to get on the knights. Can they survive long enough to do it? That is the question. We're feeling the battle here will center around the longbows, so let's keep an eye on the longbows and their doings. He's trying to kill the archers of his opponent. Is doing a pretty good job of it. Not too many spears left though. Beastie in pretty serious need of more spearmen just to deal with the cavalry. He needs to get out with what he has now because he's at risk of losing 100% of his force. We'll try to snipe a few more archers in the meantime. I don't know. The battle was looking not too bad right about until he lost his last spearman. I think this is something to keep in mind. Horsemen will absolutely murder your longbows now more than before. Gets away with... So there's 3 villagers in there. 1 longbow survived. I personally don't think that was worth it for Beastie. I think once he sees his spear numbers dwindling, I think he should start heading back toward the middle of the map and take pot shots where you can. But you really want to get... Oh, pardon me, folks. But you really want to get out alive with everything you can. BC does upgrade this outpost to have quite a few more hit points, but it's still going to go down very, very quickly. Gets his spearman in, takes out a scout. These spearmen are going to go down pretty quickly to the archers if he isn't careful. Already loses 1. Now, keeping this alive is a big deal. He has villagers trying to repair it now. We'll lose at least 1 of them. But, yeah, so 2 survive. This does have arrow slits, so he's just poking away at his opponent's force. So this is a pretty solid play from Beastie. Really making the most of what he's already invested in. Longbow's coming forward again. Beastie's really going to want to keep this tower alive. If he can pull his opponent's force away from here as well, he can repair it with the villagers that are currently in there. We'll take out another longbow. This tower just chipping away. It is going pretty slow, isn't it? Yeah, definitely working away at the longbows, but losing those 2 villagers will hurt quite a bit. Give you anxiety now at almost 80 population. Beastie at 65. 60 economy against only 47. Not looking so hot for Beastie. Maybe not out of the game just yet, but this game to me feels like a bit of an experiment, right? Both players are new to the buffed horsemen, so they're both feeling out how good are these horsemen? What can I get away with when I'm using my longbows? Like, do I need... Yes, they have an extra armor, but what does that really mean in the middle of a battle? And I think they're finding that out now, that it means quite a lot. And it's pretty rare we see a French player even mix in a few horsemen. So I like it a lot. I think this makes the unit compositions much, much more interesting. Kudos to the developers in making that change. I had actually hoped initially that it was 1, 2, 3, 4 armor, or like, well, you know, most civs don't get horsemen in the Dark Age, but rather than just sort of 1, 2, 2, 2. So perhaps unfortunate, but I think they don't want them to become exactly like like Hussars from Age of Empires 2. Bit of a different role that they play. Hussars are more of like a villager raiding unit. Horsemen are more intended to be a counter to archers. So they're going to find out in the next couple of weeks, really. Even the next week will probably settle it. And there's a really large tournament this weekend. There's a 20K tournament. All the biggest players will be participating in it. I believe it is the winter... Not the Winter Series. It's the tournament that followed the Winter Series. Winter Series was acted as qualifications for the tournament. Hopping back to real life, not real life, but the current game. Looks like Give You Anxiety has hit the 3rd age. Beastie knows he needs to put on some pressure now or never. The guild hall set to food for Give You Anxiety. So pretty low resource generation initially, but if he leaves that in for even a few minutes, it really kicks into gear. So, you know, starts as about 60 resources per minute, but it goes to 120, 180, and that definitely adds up. Burning down the palisade of his opponent, re-adding this outpost. And I wouldn't be surprised if he adds, if he upgrades this outpost much sooner this time. He knows he needs it here. He needs that network of castles. Do we see the... Here we go. We see the arrow slits rather than the durability upgrade. What do they call it? Fortify outposts. So this time, 2 outposts in fact. So maybe arrow slits on that one as well. Beastie knows he needs to make a stand here. He does have enough food to start thinking about the castle age, but he's really short on gold just now. So Castle is still looking a ways off for him unless he can shift quite a few villagers to gold, and I don't currently see him doing that. Yeah, how is Beastie going to make this work? I mean, with that much food, he needs to be spending it. That much food in, that many resources, let's say, in longbows and spears would make this really, really hard to deal with. Does he go with a ram? What's the plan here? His blacksmith. He does have siege engineering now. Head forward. Wait for this ram. Multiple mangonels now for Give You Anxiety, along with veteran royal knights and veteran archers. This is looking pretty mean. Beastie has actually put up, I like this a lot, has put up wall. Now, he's certainly easy to hit en masse with with the mangonels of his opponent, but he doesn't take nearly as much damage in doing so. And so he's trying to get in, hoping to burn down some of these mangonels. I don't know if he'll be able to do it. I think these spearmen are going down, and yeah, this is not looking good. This was oh, look at that. Fun attempt from Beastie. I like what he tried to do. It didn't quite work. He was too far behind. He knew he had to do something. Give You Anxiety puts on a nice little show with the French against Beastie as the English. Folks, this is Paragon RG. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll catch you next time.